Hi, my name is Maggie, and I'm the Change Management Agent for the Seattle Regional Office. I'd like to introduce our presenter today. Her name is Jennifer Gillen. She's with Education Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much, Maggie, for the invite for today. And as you stated, my name is Jennifer Gillen. I work for the digital engagement team here in DC for Education Service. And I am happy to join you guys today to speak on behalf of education and give you guys the GI Bill 101 rundown of GI Bill benefits. And with that, we can get started. As you can see here for today, we'll go over a lot of the missions, the goals, some of the overviews of the history of the GI Bill, some comparisons of the programs that we offer, as well as getting into the transfer of entitlement, and then go into some of the more detailed aspects like our digital GI Bill review and items like Vet Tech and Rogers STEM Scholarship. With that, we can continue. So as you can see here, just like with the rest of VA, we pride ourselves on our mission to provide timely and accurate delivery of education benefits to not only veterans, but also service members and their families by making sure that the claims process is effective and very efficient, as well as with the enrollment processing and keeping the integrity of the GI Bill program at the top of our mind. We continue to push for the I-CARE commitment of integrity, commitment, advocacy, respect, and excellence. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and continue. As you can see with our large scale goals with the GI Bill, the ultimate goal for us is to expand the opportunities for veterans, service members, and eligible family members to be able to pursue their academic goals. It's important for us that by us putting in, helping to ensure that they get the money that they need to reach out for their educational goals and making those endeavors not only makes it better for them as internally with their family, but it also enhances our nation's economic strength by supporting their employment in high demand fields. And along with that, it enriches the community by giving more diversity that veterans bring into the various backgrounds and experiences into the workforce. With that, we can continue. As you see here, Education Service has been split in the country. We have two locations where claims are processed. We have the Muskogee, Oklahoma location, which you can see there in the orange colors. And then we have our second education office, which is in Buffalo, New York, which services all the states that you see highlighted there in blue. Currently, we're sitting at about 24 days for an original application, so less than 30 days from the time that it is sent to us before they can get a decision that was made. Enrollments themselves take about 12 days to process, just depending on the time and, if it's in a heavy period of enrollment, like our fall of 2023, we usually see a very heavy flow there of enrollments that are given to us, and again in the spring in late January. And currently we're at a payment accuracy of over 95%. As you can see here with the GI Bill, how it started and where it has gone over the years. It was actually established in 1944. And you can see there that's where it started. And then since 1944, over $410 billion has been given out in GI Bill education funds alone. There are over 21,000 approved schools with over 40,000 programs that are available. So there's a wide variety of ideas that people can have. They decide what field they want to go into or what their passion is, or they can find a great number of schools that they can attend. And within those schools, so many of their programs are already ready for the GI Bill to be part of it. We also have over 19,000 approved OJT and apprenticeships. And I think we all understand the importance of encouraging the OJT and the apprenticeships in those trade type of careers and how well they support ourselves and our infrastructure here in the United States. The post 9/11 GI Bill program itself is now the largest VA education benefit. Currently, we're at almost 660,000 students that are using the benefit, with over 184,000 applications every year. So since its inception, we have gone to $137.5 billion just in the post 9/11 GI Bill benefit alone. Along with that, we also see that the yellow ribbon has been an added benefit to help overset those costs that we see for those who are wanting to attend at a private facility, and it exceeds the yearly amount that is allowed for a public or for being spent in a for a public institution. So from there, when the 1944, whenever GI Bill was first established, to now, whenever in 2021, when the digital GI Bill modernization began, you can see how much that the program itself has evolved and blossomed into what is now a wonderful benefit that provides a great amount of support and financial stability for our veterans and their families. So to compare, whenever we talk about the GI Bill, there's actually several different options that veterans and their families can choose. As I mentioned before, the first and the biggest one is the post 9/11 GI Bill. With this one, you are given a maximum of 36 months to use. In order to receive it, typically the standard is 90 days. So once you have been active duty for 90 days after anytime after on or after 9/11 of 2001, you begin to accumulate a percentage of benefits towards the post 9/11. And then as those days in active service grow, so does the percentage level that you see in the post 9/11. So the post 9/11 has been done differently than what we have had historically through the other types of GI Bills. With post 9/11, the tuition itself is actually sent to the school. So it's not given to the students to then disperse to the schools, it's given directly to the school itself. And then from there, the housing stipend, the books and supplies, those funds are then given to the student to do with how they see fit, however it works with their families and helps them with their educational goals. It can be used for a wide range of either degree or non-degree seeking trainings, like on the job and apprenticeship, like I mentioned before, flight training, correspondence. It can also be used to get reimbursed for license and certification testing, as well as national testing programs. Along with those, we also see that work study, tutorial assistance, and even rural relocation is an option through post 9/11. The second most commonly used one is the MGIB, or what we also call the Montgomery GI Bill. That's where internally we call that Chapter 30. With this one, you have to have 2 years of service first, continuous service before the eligibility begins. And it also would come with 36 months of benefits. With this one, you only have about 10 years to use it after your last day of service. So whenever you are released from active duty, you have 10 years from that date to use Chapter 30. As compared to the post 9/11, which as of 2013, anybody whose service ended after 2013, January 1st of 2013, no longer have an expiration date for those benefits. So, but with the Chapter 30, those funds are given all directly to the students. So those can be used in all the same ways that you see with the post 9/11. The only difference really with those is that the funds are given solely to the student as compared to part of it being given to the school while the other part is given to the student. From there, also we have the MGIB Selected Reserve, which that is geared towards your selected service, or I'm sorry, your selected reserves and your National Guard. Those require a 6-year commitment anytime after June 30th of 1985. Again, these come with 36 months as well. The duration of this benefit does end, however, when you leave the selected reserve. So it's only good while you are still actively serving in that component. But just like the Montgomery GI Bill, as well as the post 9/11 GI Bill, you can be used for a wide range of degree seeking programs or non-degree. And then finally, the last one is the Dependents Education and Assistance, which is also known as Chapter 35. This one is not tied into your length of service time. However, it is tied into your disability benefit level. And this one is for, like I said, dependents. So it's for your spouses or your children. And there is a good deal of range with this because of the way that it is tied in with disability benefits. So it's not for spouses, it's a 10 to 20 year eligibility. For children, it is ages 18 to 26. There has been, though, however, a new development with DEA, and now with this benefit, if you are awarded it for children who are awarded it anytime after August 1st of 2023, there is no longer a duration of benefits that they can use that. So that 26 is no longer applicable for those who become eligible on or after August 1st of 2023. But as you can see, for the benefits themselves, they can be used in a wide variety of ways, just like all of the other ones. There's really no limitations on any of these. The only thing that you'll see here that is slightly different is that the post 9/11 uses a rural relocation as well as paying for tuition, which is different than the others. And with that, we can continue on. One of the most talked about benefits that we see, and a lot of the questions that we see, is transfer of entitlement. And it's important to note that with transfer of entitlement, while VA is the responsible party for making sure that the transferred benefits are given to the appropriate dependent and then payments are made, the decision itself does not lie within the VA. We follow the footsteps of Department of Defense. It is a retention tool that the Department of Defense uses. So they have their own guidelines, which you can see here. That obviously, they must be a member of the armed forces, but that also does include the NOAA as well as the public health. And they have to have completed 6 years of service and then agree to serve 4 more. So then, they're looking at a total of 10 years of service. For the service members, once they agree to that additional 4 years and they've been given the green light to be able to transfer entitlement, spouses can begin to use it immediately for however much entitlement they've given to them. However, children have to wait until the end of that 10-year agreement, or that additional 4 years, so a total of 10 years before they can begin to use those benefits. So there's a slight difference there between the spouses and the children. But overall, the service members are allowed to give up to 36 months of benefits, and then they can divvy those up as they see fit. They can also modify that at any point in time or revoke those at any point in time as well, along whenever they made those requests. Again, transfer of entitlement is an agreement that must be made with Department of Defense prior to getting out of active service. So if you have someone who's coming to you and saying, well, I got out in 2017, I've decided I'm not going to use all my benefits. Can I transfer to my children? The answer in that situation would be no, unless they can speak to their service component and they have an agreement with them that they can get their situation modified to allow for that to happen. And from there, we can continue on. So as you can see here, we've really started in 2021 to try to modernize the GI Bill. And what we're doing is we're really putting the user as a center of our experience and putting them first to focus on being able to create a better functionality that unites all the multiple systems that we use into one single and effective managed service platform for all information to be given. So what this will do, though, for us internally as well as for our stakeholders is to increase the efficiency and reduce the downtime that we have as we have to sift back and forth between different platforms. It's also going to then improve the veterans experience and allow their beneficiaries to receive information and their funds quicker and with better understanding, which will ultimately help achieve their vocational and career goals. And then, of course, we always want to make sure that we are not only creating a better platform, but always putting in system updates and enhancements to continue to strive to make our focus on serving veterans and families at the first and foremost for us. So currently you see there on the bottom where we've began. So we've started with enhanced claims processing. So we have been working on that now to make it so that their information is pre-populated as well as their service. So it makes the entire application process faster. Some even beginning getting their information within minutes if it's a fairly uncomplicated claim. And then from there, we have now implemented in last year, we implemented Enrollment Manager, which is a system that is designed to help the schools manage the GI Bill student enrollments. Along with Enrollment Manager, we have Billy, a chatbot, who is our little mascot that we used with the school certifying officials. And that is focused on giving them 24/7 access to questions and helpful hints and tips as they navigate using that new system of Enrollment Manager. From there, we also see that they're in the works and is still coming down at, uh, through the timeline right now. We're not there yet, but we're working actively on it. Is creating the three other pieces of this managed service, which is approval manager, workload manager, and benefits manager. And those again are all things that are going to actually be more internal to assist VA employees with approving the programs, approving the schools, as well as getting the claims work primarily the assignments done, and then ultimately leading to those review and the adjudication of those benefits. With that, we can keep going. So as you can see here, going back to those milestones where we've been, we started this journey in March of 2021 and getting the contract awarded with our partners at Accenture on getting the modernization efforts begin. And then from there, we also made sure that we were including in legislative updates, not only with those that were legacy, but upcoming ones. And ultimately kind of scooting down to the end there where we see our enhanced application processing. So what we're doing is we're integrating that service history, like I mentioned, to help these applications become pre-filled, which not only helps the veteran relieve some anxiety and tension of trying to find all their information to make sure that they're accurate, that we're getting that information directly from Vader, so they don't have to do it on their part, which in turn reduces the processing time and makes some situations where it can be an immediate response. We can move on, Maggie. One of the things that we started, I'd say about 2 years ago now, is that post 9/11 students are now required to verify their enrollment every month. This has been something that's been very common for all the other GI bills, Montgomery GI Bill, the 1606 bill, as well as Chapter 35. They've all been familiar with it. It was just not implemented with post 9/11 students for a while, since it is its newest benefit. However, we've now since implemented it. We began with doing text or email, and then we found that by listening to our veterans and our school certifying officials, that they wanted a third way. So we also then at that point added online. So those three ways are done. They can opt in with the text, and at the end of every month, the VA will send a text out asking you if you stayed enrolled. And you can see there on the questions on the side how it asks those questions. If all you have to do is answer yes or no. And then the one thing to note on the text is it has to be a U.S. mobile phone number. We in the beginning we did see some issues with those who were trying to use a voice over IP or an app instead of using an actual phone number from a carrier. So that was something that we had to work on our communications to make that clear for our students. If they choose not to use text or they don't want to be notified in that way, of course, they can use email. And again, the messaging is still the same. It just asks you if you would request, if you could verify your enrollment verification and that nothing had changed for you. And then finally, the newest addition to that was the online method where once you get a verified account through either login.gov or id.me, you can go on there and check and then not only verify your enrollments, but also look back and verify any previous enrollments too, instead of having to call the education call center. So that was a great enhancement that we were able to bring as part of DGIB. And for the meantime, oh, sorry, Maggie, I paused too long there. And for the meantime, also, this is applicable to those who are receiving a monthly housing allowance and or getting a kicker. So those who are enrolled at halftime or more, or who are getting kickers. So it is not for all students yet. It's just for those who are receiving those funds. Okay, thank you. And I'm hoping that everybody here will be able to get a copy of this. But if not, I would be happy to drop a link to the video here on explaining how the deployment of itself works and how it was a video that we'd created to help explain the process of verifying enrollment since it was new for so many of our 9/11 GI Bill students. Thank you so much for that. And then you can see there that over 1.3 million students have emailed, and we have 528,000 students verifying at one time. So the system definitely can handle the heavy load of the email and text that are going out every month. And currently our text and email opt-in rate is about 98.8%, which is great because we can, from that small 1.2 percentage, we're able to identify and reach out to work on getting those manually verified for whatever their reason may be. We can keep going. Or we can watch the video too. I'm happy to do whichever one you guys want. All right. So in addition to the regular programs, we also have a pilot program called VetTech. VetTech has been very popular for us. It is, like I said, a pilot program. So it's 5 years, and we're getting close to the end of those 5 years now. But the idea of VetTech is to pair veterans with a training provider that has been identified as a high-tech facility or high-tech company that will give them the skills development and similar to like an OJT training through a very talent hungry tech force is what we're seeing with our VetTech partners. So VetTech consists of a wide variety of in the tech sector, which is including information science, computer programming, data processing, and media applications and computer software. The VetTech Consortium is what actually is bridging the gap between the veterans for their program completion and then finding meaningful employment. So it's a great way for employers and providers to begin to network together with those graduates to help them not only at the beginning, but also throughout their careers. To be eligible to use VetTech, you need to have at least 1 day of unexpired GI Bill entitlement. And then that alone will make you eligible for VetTech. And then also, I think, and it's not mentioned on here, but it's good to note that it does not take away your GI Bill entitlement. So if you let's say you have 30 days left, you can still use the VetTech program, and it does not reduce from that 30 days that you had remaining for your other GI Bill programs or benefits. So to apply for VetTech, we encourage our veterans to go on to va.gov to begin that application process. So to date, we see that, we have 1.3 GI Bill beneficiaries. I think that number is slightly off. But we have over 70 training providers that is providing for our VetTech program. We've had over 582,000 apply for or look at the comms that we've had for vet tech funding. And out of those who have looked into the vet tech funding, we've had over 6,000 applicants and 330 new enrollment certificates that were received. Average for us is with vet tech is about $20,000 per participant. So we look to see those funds cycle every year in order to continue to fund that pilot program. And we can continue on to the STEM scholarship. The other extra program we have that's tied in with their benefits is the Rogers STEM scholarship. What it can do is offer 9 additional months of benefits or $30,000, whichever one is that kind of comes first. For those who are seeking a STEM undergraduate degree, and they also can be applied for those who are dual degree and for certain clinical training programs. The emphasis here, though, is that it is for undergraduate. These scholarships are then given out on a monthly basis. To be eligible to receive the STEM scholarship, you must be a veteran or a FRI scholar, and you have to be near the end of your completion for your program. The priority for the STEM scholarship is given to those who are first at 100% of the post 9/11 GI Bill. And then from there, it is again decided monthly, if those who are the new applicants as they come in, who is given top priority. So it's one of those that we often see people ask us a question, you're like, well, I was denied. The important thing to do is if you were denied, try again. Maybe you were denied because there were others who who got higher than you on the priority level, or you were not quite at the requirement for the program of completion. So we encourage those who, if they have been denied, to apply again. And of course, you see there on the bottom the link where you can go to apply for the STEM scholarship. And we can continue on. Another great enhancement that we have added to our website is the GI Bill comparison tool. This tool allows you from either your phone or from a desktop to be able to compare up to 3 institutions at a time, side by side. That comparison will give you a chance to look at the monthly housing allowance for that area, find what the tuition rates are, and then learn about their approved education programs. You can do a search in one of 2 ways. You can either search by name if you know exactly where you want to go, or if you have a general area you want to look, you can search by location. And then within the search parameters, you can also do filters to change if you're looking to only do an OJT, or you're looking only to do an IHL or a non-degree seeking program. So you can really get very specific in your filters in that way. And you can see here, then there's should be a link in the slide that you guys can look at afterwards that really compares here. When we did a one-on-one with Kiera Harvey on her experience with the comparison tool and how well it helped her plan for her educational endeavors. That we can continue on. Some of the other future enhancement we see coming to our digital GI Bill is including a rating system that will allow GI Bill users a chance to share their experience they've had with the GI Bill comparison tool. It's also going to include program lists for each school, so you don't have to do as much hunting and pecking on your own. With that, again, there's also going to be additional filters that are applied that will help if you have a specialized mission that you're looking for, whether it be an HBCU or Hispanic serving, Native American or Native American Pacific Islander serving institutions. And then finally, another enhancement will be allowing the GI Bill comparison tool to show a point of contact for each school. So that gives a person a direct access to any special requests or complaints or other topics that can impact their educational experience. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we also have Yellow Ribbon. Yellow Ribbon is a great program that is used to help pay for some of the higher out of state or private school and also graduate school costs that the post 9/11 GI Bill won't cover. It's used in throughout the nation, but there's quite a large number of schools that do participate in the program. So to learn what schools use the yellow ribbon and in what and how much they use of it, because each one is different, you can go on to the website and take a look at those participating schools, and you can just follow those steps below that tell you how to look for those schools. Next slide. Of course, we have to make sure that we speak about PACT Act. As we all know, PACT Act is a new law that helps to expand the VA healthcare and benefits for veterans that were exposed to burn pits, as well as other toxic substances. And we are, as that law has been expanded and increased that eligibility for veterans who were in Vietnam, Gulf War, and any of the post 9/11 eras. It also makes sure that it adds more presumptive exposure locations for Agent Orange and radiation. So to learn more about that, please make sure that you scan that QR code or you visit va.gov to find your access to be able to apply for that. Also, along with the GI Bill, we also have our partners over with vocation and rehab, and that is with Chapter 36 benefit. It is a benefit that is given to provide guidance and assistance for professionals who are looking to develop a personalized career and educational goal. They are is especially a great program if you're looking to leave the active service really soon and you're in that transition phase and you've been discharged within the last year. But it's really good at helping to provide that guidance as you adjust to that civilian lifestyle afterwards. Okay. Some other resources that we always like to make sure our students are aware of is that we have a 3-part guide on how to use your GI Bill. Part 1 is one that tells you about how to go about choosing your education pathway. Part 2 then goes into a more understanding of what the benefits are and how you can use them. And then finally, Part 3 is a guide that we give to help you navigate from that education to that career that you've been working so hard to get to. Along with that, we have a dedicated phone line for survivors. They can call the education call center. That number is 1-888 GI Bill 1, or as you see there on the slide. And then they can go in and select option 5. And that option then gives them to a specialized agent who will be able to help them with their education needs as a survivor. And then, of course, you can always stay up to date on our GI Bill benefits. I do see, though, that the Twitter hasn't changed, so make sure that is now X. But you can go and follow us on the GI Bill website or the GI Bill Post 9/11 Facebook page. You can also follow us on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're actively working to find you can also find a good deal of our stuff on our YouTube channel. And of course, you can always call the GI Bill, or you can reach out and do messages with askva.gov. And with that, that is all I can share with you, but I am happy to be on here for a little longer. If you guys have any questions about GI Bill, again, I can't necessarily help with anything case specific, but I can do my best to guide you on where we need to go from there. No questions?
Hey, this
Just
is
wowed
Marcus.
everybody, and they have all the information, right? Marcus,
Hello?
what did you have?
Oh, you can't hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. Sorry about that. I am basically an advisor for our military connected students at Olympic College here in Washington State. Um, with the, I'm part of the military veteran program. Um, I have a lot of familiarity, obviously, being, a former, GI Bill user myself. But would you recommend any sources, for learning in-depth portions of the GI Bill and related benefits? Do you have any resources that you would recommend for that?
So one thing that I honestly I recommend people to do is to go and follow us on Facebook, because the team we have working on our Facebook page are subject matter experts on all things GI Bill related. So that is an excellent source. And the great thing is with Facebook, once it's on the internet, it's there, right? So we can always go back and you can look through the photos, you can look through the videos to really obtain a good deal of information on what would be a common question, or common uh, things that we get across from us. So that would be my first go to. And then from there, I definitely recommend from there going to the website. But I think as far as, since the website encompasses all parts of VA, it's great to go first to the post 9/11 Facebook page to get that information. Thank you for that question.
Jennifer, it looks like we have a question in the chat from Stephanie.
Sure.
She was asking, it looks like OIF veterans. Stephanie, did you want to come off mute?
Yeah, I can just explain that. So it looks like, because a lot of the people, I was reading that first slide, that they have to use the GI Bill within 15 years if they were discharged before 2013, which is a lot of the OIF, OEF, like a lot of that population. Um, so if they're only eligible for 15 years, if they were hypothetically discharged, I see a lot of members from them, but none of their kids would be eligible, it seems like. Is that right?
So if they have successfully transferred their benefits, for the students at that time, for the transfer of entitlement, students, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say students, children
Mm-hmm.
do age out of that. So they are no longer eligible once they reach the age of 26. So the
Right,
veterans
but
delimited date is not as impactful as their age themselves.
no, I guess what I'm saying is not the children hypothetically would be ranging now from, I don't know, they could have had a kid last year. They could be 1 to 15. They're not at the 26 yet, but they're
I see.
hypothetically going to be over that 15 years since they were in the service by the time
Mhm.
the kids need to use it. Does that seem right? I feel like that seems off.
No, no, that wouldn't be impacted to them on that in that situation. They get to
It's
use the
not
time
15
as it fits
years.
to their age.
Okay, because on your slide, it says that if they're discharged before 2013, they have to use it within 15 years. So that's not right,
It is right for veterans.
but not for
I
their
think that would be
kids.
the difference that we're looking at here between veterans and the transfer of entitlement.
Okay, so they have to transfer that, just so I know, for them to everybody needs to transfer that within that 15 years if they're not going to use
Correct.
it. Okay.
Right. But again, that has to be an agreement that's made with the Department of Defense prior. So if they're
Hmm.
looking at, well, I got out in 2008 and I'm quickly running out of time here, they can't go out there now and try to transfer that. Unfortunately, that eligibility just period has ended.
Okay.
This is the slide you're talking about, Stephanie?
No, it was the one right before that, I think.
Mhm. But this one
Uh,
has the same
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Good question.
So, but you also had a question with the 100% service connected
I didn't know if
disabled
it
vets?
changed the answer at all. Like if they were discharged, I see people that are 100% disabled that were
Hmm.
discharged 15 years ago or more. Does it change for their children? But it doesn't sound like it would.
No, I mean, if they have been given 100% permanent and total disabled,
Right.
that is where the Chapter 35, the dependence and education assistance comes into play.
Okay. I
And
got it.
and that one does have, like, on this slide, it does show you where there are
Yep.
some there are some ranges there that limits that duration of benefit use.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see, Marcus, you've been using the website and the SCO handbook. And I know that unfortunately the SCO handbook is very lengthy, and the website itself can sometimes take you down a different path than what you intended. So I just went ahead and I threw in the link to our Facebook page. So hopefully you guys can go on there and kind of play around and find some information for your beneficiaries that you represent to help. I see Matthew has his hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. I had a quick question about the post 9/11 GI Bill requirement for 90 days active duty time. Would
Mhm.
that also count for like our reservists who are on active duty for boot camp and training schools and other various things?
So typically, IADT, which is that initial active duty training, is not part of that 90 days. That's something that's done afterwards. For those who are reservists and National Guard, the post 9/11 has to be something that is a qualifying Title 10 in some situations, but I have to really emphasize some, as in very few, Title 32. So those are active call-ups that are not training specific, but they are call-ups usually into to a location where we have any active scene at the time.
Okay, so there are certain cases where a call up lasting over 90 days for reservists could qualify them for at least a percentage of the post 9/11.
Yes, actually, I just finished making an infographic on this, and if I can find it, I will drop it in the chat for you guys.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Don't be shy. Right, I don't see any, but if I'm going to go ahead and post this quick photo for you guys that explains the benefit level, and it really breaks it down by days. I know myself, I spent almost 10 years as a veterans claim examiner, so I worked these cases day in and day out. So I really definitely understand for those who have spent a good amount of time in the National Guard, in the Reserve, accumulating those days, how important this is to know how those days eventually add up. So hopefully you see this image pop up here shortly, if it allows me to add an image. If not, I promise I'll post it on Facebook as soon as possible.
Yeah, you should have permissions to share that in the chat, Jennifer. If not, I can also follow up to everyone in the meeting and ensure that they receive both that as well as the presentation via email as we wrap up. And then, yeah, if we don't have any more questions, I just wanted to thank both yourself and Maggie again for the excellent presentation today, and everyone for being here.
It was a pleasure taking care of you guys today, and I hope that I gave you just a little more insight on what we do here in Education Service and how we're here to serve our veterans and their families every day. And I think that the image just posted for you guys, so feel free to snag that, and that helps maybe explain how those days are broken up.